Buongiorno! Today I'm gonna be doing my February wrap-up. So I managed to read 16 books in February. I am so impressed and in awe of myself. I can't believe I managed to read 16 books in February. And February is such a short month because there's so many books to talk about. I'm gonna jump right into the wrap-up. The first book I read in February was Princess in the Spotlight by Mike Cabot. It was a reread. I listened to the audiobook narrated by Anne Hathaway, and oh my god, it was such a great time. I loved it so much. I decided to reread the whole Princess Diaries series. Next, I read Not the Girls You're Looking For by Amina May Safi. Did go to one of her signings. I follow her on social media and I just love Amina Safi so much. I'm not gonna get into much about this book because I wrote a pretty detailed Goodreads review for this book. I'm so proud of the review. I'll leave it down below. I love this book with every fiber of my being. When I first started reading it, I had a little bit of trouble getting into the book. Just something just didn't click with me in the beginning, and I was really worried that I was not gonna end up liking this book. Little by little, I started getting more into the book, ended up becoming absolutely obsessed with how amazing this book is. The main character is Iraqi and Muslim, and this is basically like her high school experience. There's not much plot in this book. That's probably like my most negative thing about it. You pretty much just follow Lulu's life. Like, there's not much plot in this book at all. So many amazing quotes from this book, and I wanted to save all of them. And then when I went on Goodreads, there was only 2 quotes saved. Flipped through this book and I wrote down all of the quotes that I loved and I added them all to Goodreads. You can thank me for all of the quotes that are now up on Goodreads because I did all of them. There's like, I think 15 quotes now on Goodreads. Before there was only 2. Lulu has this amazing, iconic friend group, and all of them really care about each other and they see each other as sisters, and they would literally go to the ends of the earth for each other. Even when there is a romance in this book, it's never overshadowed by the amazing female friendships in this. Love the discussions of religion in this book. Learned so much about Ramadan that I didn't know about before. Love the discussion of racism and identity, what it's like to be a child of diaspora. It was just so beautiful. I cried. This book is just so powerful, so well written, and all the characters are amazing. And I don't understand why everybody isn't yelling about this book because it's absolutely phenomenal. Also really funny. Not like laugh out loud funny, but there's some moments where you'll laugh. Next, the Loveathon Contemporary-athon happened. I actually read 7 books during the Loveathon and Contemporary-athon. I am so impressed with myself. I have never done that well at a readathon. Average for readathons is usually 5 books, one of them being an audio. Also did daily vlog every day during the Loveathon and Contemporary-athon, and I did like a little mini wrap-up at the end. I'm not gonna go over those books because they're pretty heavily documented on my channel. Open Road Summer by Emery Lord, Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahara Mafi, Forbidden Wish by Jessica Kure, Fake Canadian Wife by M. Hollis, Listen to Your Heart by Casey West, Princess in Love by Mike Cabot, Princess in Waiting by Mike Cabot. After the readathon, I read Good Morning, Good Night, Little Pet Talks for Me and You by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Princess in Pink by Mike Cabot, which is book 5, I think, of the Princess Diaries series. I actually did a spur of the moment reading vlog for these 2 books, so if you want to know my thoughts, check out that reading vlog. So much fun filming it. I just decided at the spur of the moment that I wanted to film a reading vlog. Last but not least, I'm gonna go over all of the books I read for Blackathon. I was so focused on the Loveathon and Contemporary-athon this month that I completely forgot about Blackathon until like the last week of February. I picked pretty short books, so I managed to finish all of them, and I even squeezed in another one for Blackathon. First challenge of Blackathon was Feel the Love, read a book, any genre, featuring a romance between 2 Black people or 1 Black person and a person of color. Sleepless. Some of the reviews, and a couple of the reviews said that this book does feature 2 people of color. This is a romance between a princess and her bodyguard. It's called Sleepless because he is part of the Sleepless Order. Sleepless Order is this order of knights, bodyguards, and basically security in this kingdom. When they take the oath to be sleepless, they can never sleep ever again until they die. Because they take the oath, they're stronger, they have more endurance, better soldiers, and better security guards than any other people. Highly requested all over the kingdom, especially when it comes to royalty. That aspect of this novel is really fascinating. There's an assassination attempt on her life. The whole book is them trying to figure out who tried to assassinate her. A romance looms between her and her bodyguard. Maybe a couple minutes longer to finish things because I just wanted to stare at the art. So I really loved the story. The whole kingdom is so fascinating. Loved the mystery of trying to figure out who wants her dead. I cannot wait to read the next book in the series because the way this book ended was on a huge cliffhanger, and I cannot wait to read more in this series. This challenge is for More Than the Color. We house complexity within us. Read a book starring an intersectional Black character Black and LGBT, Black and Neurodiverse, Black and Disabled, etc. For this challenge, I read Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole. This is a romance between two Black women. So cute. So much was packed into 100 pages. Featured a second chance romance. We see them meet again, but it's told in alternating timelines. We see the current day when they're meeting again and how they met the very first time and how they started dating. I did get confused sometimes. Two timelines were kind of similar. I actually really love reading second chance romances. It's just so interesting reading what tears people apart and what brings them back together. Pretty sure I gave this 4 or 5 stars. It was so well written. There's not a lot you can do in novellas. This one had so much depth that it felt almost like a full-length novel. Next challenge was Wakanda Forever. Yes. Made a graphic novel or comic book series for Black or African MC. March. Book 1, Congressman John Lewis's life story, basically. The first one details his childhood, a couple years of his university years when he first got involved in the civil rights movement. This book is in black and white, which I think is perfect for the story. I've learned about the civil rights movement in class. Never in this way. There's something about reading somebody's story who actually lived it firsthand. It changes the way you see history in so many ways. I really want to check out the rest of the books in the series. This 5 stars, it was incredible. Last challenge is Hear Us, any work by Black African author. And for this one, I read Binti Home. Binti, the very first book. Binti Home is the second. Like Once Ghosted, Twice Shy, so much is packed into very few pages. And this book, very first chapter, is not a spoiler. She runs away to go to university. Nobody in her community supports her decision to go to university and leave the city and the community. In the second book, she comes back home and she has to deal with the repercussions. It made me so angry the way her community and her family treated her. They called her selfish. She becomes really ostracized in the community. Even if she was selfish, which I don't think what she did was selfish at all, family and her community should support that decision because it's her life. She did not deserve that treatment, especially because of what happens in this book. Pretty traumatic things that happen in this book to her, and in Binti Home in the beginning, she is dealing with pretty severe PTSD. The way it was written was given a lot of respect. It talks about going to therapy and how that helped her so much. Astrolabe, which is kind of like the cell phone type devices of this world, beeps whenever she's having a panic attack and it reminds her to breathe and calm down. I really loved that representation. I did like the pilgrimage aspects of the second book. Those parts were really interesting. We got to learn so much more about Binti's past, history behind her community. Love how she started to examine her own prejudice. Binti comes from the Himba people. People think that they're primitive, but she thinks the same of the desert people. She starts to examine her own prejudice towards desert people, and she realizes that the desert people are actually not that bad at all. A lot of the things that people thought about the desert people were pretty similar to the things that people thought about the Himba people. Her being prejudiced against them was just pretty much her doing the same thing that people do to her. Binti Home, 4 stars. Again, it made me so angry at how her family and community treated her. So because of that, I docked 1 star. This author is beyond talented. She does more in 100 pages than some authors can do in 400 pages. All the books I read in February. I do quickly want to go over a couple movies and TV shows I watched in February. I didn't watch that many because, again, I read 16 books. I was focused on reading. First, I watched Bring It On again because that was the last movie from the Thank You Next music video. I'm glad that I watched Bring It On after I watched Buffy because one of the characters from Buffy shows up on Bring It On. She's one of the main characters. Being able to see her in a different role was really interesting. Then I also watched Princess and the Pea and He's Just Not That Into You during the Readathons, so I talked about those in those vlogs. I watched My Fair Lady. It's the 50th anniversary this year, so they were showing it at a local theater, and I knew I had to go see it. It was so awesome. I went during like a really weird time where people don't usually go to the theater on purpose, and I was the only one in the whole theater. The theater that it was showing in was the really nice, really big theater, so I held the whole theater to myself, and it was great. Fair Lady is a musical. I just got to sing along and like dance in my seat the whole movie. I had such a great time. My favorite song is I Could Have Danced All Night. I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night. I also love Wouldn't It Be Lovely. All I want is a room somewhere far away from the cold night air, and in an honest chair. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Lovely. I love this movie so much. Of course, it is a product of its time. It is kind of sexist. I don't know if this is a real thing, but I call it the hysterical woman trope, where the woman acts kind of hysterical, and it's very much employed in this movie. And for TV shows, I pretty much watched the Charmed reboot, Fresh Off the Boat, Supergirl, and then of course in January, if you watch my January wrap up, you know I added Buffy. February, I added Angel to the list because I finished season 3 of Buffy, and then I also finished season 4 of Buffy, but once I started season 4 of Buffy, I figured I should watch Angel and Buffy together. There's crossover episodes. I'm really loving doing that. Beginning, I was watching Angel only to understand the crossover episodes, and I didn't really enjoy Angel that much in the beginning. The first half of the season is very rough. Considering it is the first season, it makes sense. Halfway through the season, it started getting really, really good to the point where season finale of Angel season 1 is a lot stronger than Buffy season finale of season 4. Honestly, I didn't really like the Initiative storyline. I think it wasn't that strong. Last season did the plot better and the season finale better, so this was definitely not the strongest Buffy season finale. Really excited to pick up season 2 of Angel now. Before I was only watching it because of Buffy, but now I'm watching it because I really actually love the show. That's all for my February wrap up. I had an amazing reading month in February. I did not watch that many movies or TV shows. I did 2 readathons, which I completely slayed. I'm so proud of myself. Comment down below how you did in February. Did you do any readathons? How many books did you finish in February? If you only finished 1 book, that's still amazing. Social media links are all down below. My Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads. Arrivederci!